Welcome back to the IE427 Garage, everybody. Today, I'm going to show you how to make your project just a little bit more organized. All right, so how do you make your project more organized? There's a number of ways. And with all of the technology that we have today, one of the best ways that I've found to keep projects, now keep in mind we've got multiple projects in the shop going on at the same time now. But even when there was just one project in the shop at a time, what I would always do is I would start a folder. And it's just a simple folder. And when you think about exactly what this folder is going to do, it's just going to help you in the beginning to keep all of your receipts, all of your project manuals, anything literature-wise that comes with any of the parts you buy in one central location. Now, I go to the 99-cent store and I buy these. They're cheap. They usually come in a 4, 6, or maybe even an 8-pack, depending on who the supplier is to the 99-cent store, the dollar store. It's probably a $1.50 store now. But, and what I try to do is I try to put all of like the receipts from Jeg, Summit, Factory 5, whoever, I put all the receipts on one side of the folder because they have little pockets in them. And then on the other side, I keep all of the literature for all the parts that come. So let's say you order a part from Willwood, and those parts come in. Well, there is a booklet or a series of pages stapled together that not only tell you how to put those parts together, but they may have instructions on how best to bleed your brakes, and what might be like the bedding procedure for the brake pads. So you want to keep all that stuff separate and organized. Now, you may already be doing this, and that's good, but that's where you're going to want to start. So one other thing that I do, and I just did this recently with the new Texas project that we've got here, I got all of the literature from this car owner that he had gotten from Factory 5. So it has all of his back-ordered parts list, which have since been satisfied. It had his original inventory with everything he ordered as part of his complete kit, plus the things that he had added to the kit along the way. And then it had all of the Coyote control pack instructions in it, and any supplemental instructions that he got from Factory 5. Now, some of that stuff was in a manila folder, some of it was in a 3-ring binder, and what I chose to do when I got it here at the shop is I chose to grab my 3-hole punch. One thing about being in business is you have to stay organized in order to effectively keep all of your clients' projects separate. But then what I did, you're going to have to excuse the chain. This was what was on the motor. So then what I did is I went through everything that was in this manila folder, and I 3-hole punched it, and I organized it inside of this 3-ring binder that the car owner had already started. All this really did for me is put everything in one spot. So I'm not looking in multiple spots for different stuff for that car. Now, the 25th anniversary car, I've got to hand it to that owner, and nothing against the owner of the Texas car. He had everything organized. It just wasn't in the manner that I do it. And so for me, when I get a car, I tend to want to reorganize everything, including all the inventory and all the boxes, in a manner in which it makes sense to me. So I put all the brake components, all in one spot. These brakes are already on. I put all of the exterior and interior parts of the car that are going to be put on the car last, like bumpers, headlights, turn signals, brake lights, door latches. I put all those in one box because I know I'm not going to need to get to them for a long time. And that way I'm not rifling through that box every time I'm looking for a part. I know that all that stuff is in that box and there's nothing else in that box that I'm going to need right now. And then all the secondary body fasteners and all the other kind of stuff that I know I'm going to be rifling through the boxes in the midst of the build, those will go in different boxes, but they go in boxes that are organized in a manner which my brain kind of works. And so I go through that step. Now, if for instance, you are organizing yours and you find that it's best for you to just look at your inventory sheet, go up there, find box 2A, and then go through that and find the part, that's fine too. But what I've found is that after building a couple of these cars is that I would have one of those big boxes with like one item in it. And it's like, well, what, you're just going to keep the big box taking up all this space for one little item? So I found that it was better for me to consolidate the boxes early in a manner in which I would be using them. And so at the point that the box gets down to a certain level, I just throw the big box away, or actually we recycle them. But so that'll help you with kind of your inventory stuff. So 25th anniversary car, like I said, was a little bit different. This owner was very much organized in the manner that I do things, which worked out very well. The one thing that I didn't do when this car came in right away was re-inventory the boxes. And it bit me a couple of times because I found myself having to go back into the original delivery checklist sheet to find out which boxes they were in, because it wasn't something I was accustomed to anymore. So I don't know what's in box 2A anymore. So I put the boxes, like I said, I organize them in a manner that makes sense to me. Jumping forward, let's talk about Jim's car. The reason I came out to the shop today is because I'm in the process of doing a punch list for Jim's car. Jim's car is very close to going home right now, and so I am walking through and I'm making a video log. This video is going to be that video log of everything that has to be completed on Jim's car before I send the car back to Jim. And so what I started with there was a yellow pad of paper, which I've got over on the desk, and a pen, and I am going through the car and I am documenting everything that still needs to be done on the car. Now, there's not a lot, but there's still some things that have to be done before the car goes back to Jim. So, for instance, we've got some wires hanging out under the dash. One of those is the Speed Hut. What is that? That's the LED driver for the gauge lighting. So I've got to find a spot for that. I've got some miscellaneous wires under there that are for like not clock power, for a radio power, and then a wiper motor power, and then I think some under dash lights. So those got to find a home. I've got to strap them up behind the dash so they're out of the way. The fuse box is still hanging down below the dash. I've got to get that re-secured. I've got the inertia switch hanging out over on that side underneath the dash behind the steering wheel, and I think I'm going to move that over to here, as I discussed in one of the last videos that we did for the 25th anniversary car. I just think the side behind the dash is going to be a better spot for it. So that's got to be done. Under hood, I have the cover that needs to go on the driver's side foot box that we cut out. Remember, this is an early Mark IV and did not have that access panel. So we have a panel that we made that we have to figure out how we're going to fasten on there. I don't know yet if I'm going to use threaded inserts or whether I'm just going to use machine screws, but that will have to go on. The battery still needs to be connected for the final time. The terminals are on the posts. I do have the battery charger charging the battery. It's right here. However, I've just got those on there snug. They have not been tightened down because I know that I'm still going to have to disconnect the battery when I get in there to fasten down the fuse box underneath the dash. So it doesn't make much sense to connect the battery for the final time until that's all in place, because I don't want to short anything out. On the inside, I'm actually going to go to the other side of the car. On the inside of the car, I have carpeting to finish. So I've got to put some carpeting on the door sills. And what I did is I picked up some It's like some metal stair edge trim that I picked up at the home center. And I think I'm just going to put a small portion of that in the in this front portion. Just this one area where the ingress and egress of the car is. So this will get covered with carpet. This will get covered with carpet. This back here will get covered with carpet. And then this little section up here will get covered with carpet. And then I'll put that edge trim on right here just so that we're not tearing this edge up every time we get in or out of the car. And so that'll have to be done. I think I'm going to leave the check straps alone. They're not in quite the way I would have done them. I would have probably dyed them black as well. But they're in, and since they've been pop riveted, I just don't want to have to take that all apart and redo it. We may do that when the car comes back for some other work that we're going to be doing, like in the trunk and stuff. Now, I do have some trim fasteners that I'm going to put in here, and I'm going to back them with a small piece of aluminum that will receive that trim cover that just pushes in there. They're like black buttons that'll just kind of cover this area in those 3 spots. So that has to be done. Other than that, Jim's car is really, really close. And I still want to stick it back up on the scales. Actually, I don't think it's been on the scales. We had it up on the lift, and we did a front end alignment on it, but it hasn't been on the scales. So I want to put it on the scales. I want to make sure that we do the corner balance on it, and then after that, it'll probably go back to Jim. Now, it's midweek right now, and I'm not going to be getting to Jim's car until probably this coming weekend. I'll probably working on it on both Saturday and Sunday. And then it should probably go back to Jim the following week. So it'll all depend on his schedule and when he has a chance to pick it up. So we'll see how it goes. So anyways, as outdated and as Neanderthal as it may be, to use one of these and one of these, I think in the end, when you're getting to the end of your project, it's probably the best way to get everything that has to be completed on your car done. And you may find some things at the end when you think you're just about done that you end up adding to that list. And a sheet of paper is really easy to do. You just add another item to it, and as you're finishing them, you just cross them off. I'm not breaking any new ground here, guys, but that's the way you're going to keep your project organized. So I hope some of this stuff helps you. If it does, let us know. If you've got a better way, I said we're using the camera now. This video log is going to help me to go back, later this week when, this video posts, and I'll have a record of everything I went through on Jim's car. Who knows? I might find some other things as I'm poking around this weekend, trying to get it all kind of finished up. But, there you go. All right, everybody, as I was walking around Jim's car, I decided I would raise the lift up, open the trunk, just see what other items that we had left to do on the car, in the trunk, for instance. And there I found the spinners. I knew I had to put the spinners back on, but the spinners are in there. We've got the access cover for the foot box, the driver's side foot box. It's over on the left side of the car in the trunk. And then we've got both of the access covers, the one for the sending unit and the one for the fuel pump. So those need to go back on. We took those off when we were checking the wiring out in the car, and so I want to make sure that those get put back in place. So those have to go on. So what you can see by my list is it quickly became a almost a one-page list. The steering wheel needs to go on for the final time, and the bolt needs to be put in with Loctite and torqued. The steering wheel center cap has to go on. We talked about those carpeted door sills, so those have to be put on. The metal edge trim that I'm going to do on the edges where the ingress and egress of the car is, so that's on here. The one thing that I didn't mention is the driver's and passenger seat both need to be bolted back in. They're just sitting in the car right now. The fuse box needs to be put back in place. And then the footbox cover that we just talked about that's sitting in the trunk, along with the Factory 5 chassis plate that they give you with the serialized chassis number on it. Jim wants me to mount that. I'm just going to mount that on the footbox cover. We need to strap the accelerator cable. It's going to go basically adjacent to the footbox cover, so I'm waiting to put that footbox cover back on. The LED driver and the wires that are hanging below the dash, I've got that written here. The inertia switch that we talked about relocating to the passenger side of the car is here. We have a Speed Hut reset button that we need to fasten to the clock and then put in a strategic spot so that Jim can adjust the clock. Talked about the covers for the fuel pump and the fuel sending unit. The driver's side carpeting, there is a piece of carpeting that is loose inside the car. It actually had this piece of pad that we're going to eliminate because it already has Dynamat in there, so we don't need this. We're going to glue that piece of carpeting right down to the floor of the footbox so that it stays in place from now on. We've got door edge trim that's going to go on to finish off the edge of the doors where it meets that carpeting and the door sills. We're going to corner weight the car. Of course, the wheel spinners have to go back on the car, and then we're going to do a final detail. So you can see, just walking around the car, it only took me probably 30 minutes, maybe 40, to go through and make a list of all the things that need to be completed on Jim's car. Now, this is not the end-all, beat-all of all lists. We're probably going to find some things as we're finishing up the car that are going to need to be addressed. They probably may, they may not even make the list because I'll just take care of them as I'm doing them. To me, it doesn't make sense to cross something off the list that you've already finished. So no sense writing it down if you've already done it. But so there, couple of tips to have your project just a little bit more organized as you go through all the way through the finishing stages of your build. All right, as always, I want to thank you all for watching. Again, we do these videos for the car owner. It's a way for them to keep track of what's going on each of the cars that happen to be in the shop at any given time. Sometimes the car owners, these three car owners, see videos of the other cars that we're working on, and it spurs a question for them, and I end up getting a text message or a message through YouTube or Facebook or one of those saying, hey, I hadn't thought about that. What do you think about doing that on my car? And so as good as these are for keeping the car owner updated on their project, it does help some of the other car owners that we're working for to work through their project as well. So if you're enjoying the content here, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.